Hey there, Brightsider. I've got some refreshing riddles for you. Let's start with a warming-up activity. Your main goal is to answer fast and correctly, of course.
Yeah.
I have cities, but no houses. I have forests, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I? Right. I'm a map. What can run but never walks? Has a mouth but never talks, certainly not me. Has a head but never weeps. Has a bed but never sleeps. It's a river. Did you guess it right? What runs all around your backyard, yet never moves? Psst, it's a fence. I'm a box that holds keys without locks, yet my keys can unlock your imagination. What am I? A book. Now I've got a bit tougher brain teaser for you. What TV series is represented by this rebus? Here's a hint. The first, third, and fifth names are there only to fill space. And the answer is Even Stevens. All of the even numbers correspond to some kind of a variation of the name Stephen. Now, which letter comes next in this sequence? You can pick from the following letters: L, V, Y, T, or D. We need the letter Y. The sequence stands for second, minute, hour, day, week, month, and year. A cowboy rode into town on Friday. He stayed for 3 nights and rode out on Friday. How is it possible? His horse's name was Friday. 6 children have been measured. Turns out Weldon is taller than Delia, but shorter than Zena. Leisha is taller than Benito, but shorter than Delia and Weldon. Benito is not the shortest. Can you put the kids in order of height from the tallest to the shortest one? The right order is Zena, Weldon, Delia, Leisha, Benito, and Charlotte. Look at these athletes. Who will win the race? The left shoe of the guy on the right is untied, so he isn't likely to be the first one to get to the finish line. The guy on the left seems to be really exhausted, so he can't be the first one either. Meanwhile, the guy in the middle looks really confident, so he has the highest chance of winning this race. Now get ready for a nice logic puzzle. You've been invited to a party at Charlie's house, but you've never been there before. The guy has 7 friends who live nearby. They've given you a map showing all their houses as well as Charlie's house and provided you with the following information. Daniel: I can't see Benita's house because Greta's house is in the way. Adam: I live directly, but not diagonally, across the street from Daniel. Benita: Elena's house is to the west of my house. Elena: I have to cross 3 streets to arrive at Franco's house. Hal. I live east of Benita. Can you figure out which house is Charlie's? It's House E, and that's where the rest of the friends live. On April Fool's Day, a teenager decided to play a prank on his parents. He replaced salt in 3 out of the 4 salt shakers with sugar and left messages on each of them. Shaker A, this is salt. Shaker B, this is salt. Shaker C, this is sugar. Shaker D, the salt is not in Shaker B. If only one of these inscriptions is true, which shaker contains salt? The only truthful statement is statement D. The salt is not in Shaker B. Otherwise, 2 statements will be true and it's against the rules. And if statement D is true, then the salt is in Shaker C. If Teresa's daughter is my daughter's mother, what am I to Teresa? You can choose from the following options. The correct answer is, I'm Teresa's daughter. You see, in this riddle, you, the reader, are Teresa's daughter. That's what you are to her. How come? Well, if Teresa has a daughter who is also the mother of your daughter, you are Teresa's daughter. Now let's break it down in a different way. Teresa is your daughter's grandmother, which makes Teresa your mother and makes you the daughter of Teresa. The tricky part is the multiple choice answers. You might have tried to figure it out as if you're an additional person to the riddle, when in fact, you're inserted into the riddle from the get-go. If Teresa's daughter, which is you, is my daughter's mother, what am I to Teresa? The answer is already there. A cat is out on a hunt, and a mouse is hiding from the predator. Can you spot the mouse before the cat does? Here it is. Find the number that best completes the following sequence. This number is 16 because each next number adds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 respectively to the preceding number. Let's have a small break and crack some short riddles, but you need to be fast.
Yeah.
I make 2 people out of 1. What am I? A mirror. What comes once in a minute, twice in a moment, but never in 1,000 years? It's the letter M. What's more useful when it's broken? The answer is an egg. What did a computer eat on the moon? Space bars. Oh. Now look at this picture and try to figure out which figure doesn't belong here. It's the triangle. It has only 3 line segments, while the other figures have 4. Another image to examine. Can you deduce which woman is rich? Sarah's watch is fake. Look at the way the name of the brand is written, Versace. Pam's gold bracelet looks very old and has scratches all over it. At the same time, Jessica's wearing a real Tiffany bracelet. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson wanted to celebrate their wedding anniversary. They were going to organize an extravagant party and invite hundreds of guests. But Mrs. Anderson was worried about all the expensive stuff they had in their villa. The couple decided to invite a detective to look after the guests. And indeed, in the middle of the party, the detective noticed a thief. Look at the people gathered in the garden and try to spot the criminal. It's the guy on the left. He's trying to steal a woman's bracelet. One morning, Donna came to the office and found a box of chocolates on her desk. There was a strange note. October 7th, May 3rd, August 1st, January 3rd. Can you help Donna understand who presented her the sweets? Her secret admirer is Ryan. Those are not dates. The numbers actually means the needed letter in the name of the month. Detective Mitchell was following a bank robber, but after the criminal turned the corner, he seemed to vanish into thin air. After wandering around for a while, the detective came across a small park with a lake. Right on the shore, there were several marble statues. The man was about to pass by when something drew his attention. He realized where the criminal was. Can you figure it out? One of the statues is looking at its watch. It's the bank robber. Dennis is taking part in a competition. If his last answer is correct, he'll get a prize, an expensive watch. But first, he needs to figure out which of these two watches is real and which is just a toy. The watch on the left is a toy. Look at its minute hand. It's too long and won't be able to pass all the way around the watch face. Lisa worked as a teaching assistant at a college. One day, she had to look after a group of students who were writing an exam. Lisa knew that some of them were going to cheat. And indeed, soon after the exam started, the girl spotted one person who was cheating. Who was it? The guy in the back of the classroom. He's got the answers written on his arm. Bob went scuba diving for his birthday. He got to see the rich marine life of Florida's ocean, but when he was down there, he hit his head on a coral reef. Now, it turned out that Bob was fine, except for the fact that he had lost a bit of his short-term memory. When he arrived home, there were 3 beautiful women waiting for him. Hey, it was his birthday. They all claimed that they were his wife. Well, take a look at the image. Can you help Bob figure out who is really his wife? It's the second woman on the right. If you look closely, you'll see she's wearing the same gold ring that Bob's wearing. Henry is the CEO of his own company. Have a look at the picture. One of these ladies is Henry's sister. Can you figure out who? Although he's looking at the woman on the right, his sister is on the left. They both have the same birthmark on their necks. Good eye, if you caught that. There was a recent break-in at Mr. Frank's grocery store. Luckily, the security cameras captured everything. Mr. Frank called in Detective Harper to crack the case. Harper noticed one small but very important detail that solved the mystery. Take a peek at the images Detective Harper reviewed. Can you figure out who the thief is? Let's see. That guy is just carrying around a baguette. The one near the fridge has normal groceries in her cart. And the last guy is holding a lettuce in his hands. But hey, take a look at the lettuce. It has such a weird shape. In fact, it has a banana inside of it. That guy was trying to sneak out with a banana and a lettuce. He's the thief, definitely. And a weird one. It's finals week at Crestwood Academy, and the tension is sky high. Check out the classroom and see if you can figure out who's cheating. It's the student with the smartwatch. He's looking at his watch to get the answers to the exam. Mrs. Bells has 3 sons. She is the best cook in the family, and she loves to make her family amazing dinners. Her sons love her, but say she keeps giving the best food to her favorite son. Examine the image carefully. Can you figure out who is her favorite son? It's the one in the middle. While all the other boys have a food plate in front of them, the little guy in the middle is already eating dessert. She gave him the best first. Bibi, Jenna, Miriam, and Jackie were called to the CEO's office for a meeting. It started to rain just before the meeting, and one of the ladies got in at the last minute. Their shoes got wet, and they stained the boss's carpet. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who stained his carpet? It was Miriam, the third lady in the middle. She is the one wearing high-heeled shoes, and if you look closely, that's the shape that matches the footprints. It was Paula's wedding, and everyone was beyond excited. One of the bridesmaids just caught the bouquet and was happily talking to the other ladies about it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out which one of them caught it? It's the lady on the left. If you notice, she's surrounded by bees, who were attracted by the flower's pollen. It was Ricky's birthday, and he invited his best friends to go camping with him. The weather was perfect, so they decided to get a group picture next to the lake. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure out which of these 2 people are a couple? If you look closely, the first girl on the left and the boy in the middle have matching tattoos. They have a cute little heart tattooed in different parts of their bodies. They're definitely a couple. Sarah is getting married, and she invited her bridesmaids for a dress fitting. One of the bridesmaids is pregnant, though. Can you figure out who? Oh, it's the lady eating the pie, of course. She's definitely having one of those irresistible cravings. Sandy and Priscilla met for afternoon tea, and one of the ladies took Jake, her younger son, along. Can you figure out who Jake's biological mother is just by looking at the picture? It's Sandy, the woman on the left. She's got the same hair color as Jake. Jenny's living large, and Lana's just scraping by. Take a look at the snapshot of both of them in their apartments. Can you tell who's who? Lana's on the left. Even though her place looks pretty stylish, all the decor still has the price tags on it. She's probably planning to return everything after snapping that picture. Alex and Jordan finally decided to get married after dating for 5 years. On their wedding day, just before the ceremony was about to start, Jordan asked Alex to grab a bracelet from her dressing room, the one he gave her on their first anniversary. But when Alex walked in, something super weird happened. 3 Jordans were standing before him, all looking exactly the same. Since Jordan's uncle was a bit of a mad scientist, Alex immediately suspected he'd cloned her. Take a look at the picture. Can you figure out which one is the real Jordan? It's the third one. She's got the same bracelet that Alex always wears. Looks like Jordan's uncle forgot to clone that small detail. Alfie told Jen he'd been assigned to a top-secret mission in a remote desert. Just couldn't keep it secret, I guess. Super excited about the opportunity, they decided to try out a long-distance relationship. Jen asked him to send lots of photos, and he did. But after seeing the pics, Jen realized something was off and called it quits. How did Jen figure out Alfie was cheating? One of the last pics that Alfie sent had palm trees in the background, but there aren't any palm trees in the desert. Plus, the photos of the animals, there were kangaroos and koalas, which definitely don't live in the desert. Looks like Alfie faked the pics and wasn't where he said he was. Oh, and in one of the photos, there's a lipstick smudge on his shirt. Uh-oh. Ed's mom was responsible for overseeing the catering of his wedding. She went inside the kitchen to check if everything was okay, but came outside screaming. Can you guess what made her so mad? Look at the top of the cake. There are 2 statues of creepy-looking elves instead of the bride and groom. She wanted them to fix that immediately. Your cousin invites you to an amusement park called Funland's Frenzy. When you arrive, the ticket seller says there's a rule you must figure out before you can enter. They give you a few clues. At Funland's Frenzy, there are roller coasters, but no bumper cars. There is cotton candy, but no popcorn. There is pizza with cheese, but not pizza with sausage. Can you figure out the rules of Funland's Frenzy just with this info? The rule is that only things with double consonants are allowed. So, cotton candy, roller coasters, and pizza are in, and the rest are out. So, John is hosting his monthly thematic dinner. Each month, he picks a different theme, and they spend the entire evening eating and laughing. He spent days searching the internet for one of the most difficult riddles he could find to give his friends a real challenge to solve. That's when he found the 4 glasses puzzle. His guests arrived, and he explained the rules of the game to them. They would each start the game with 4 empty glasses that were right side up. In each move, they would need to invert exactly 3 different glasses. To win the game, the person should be able to find the minimum number of moves to get all of the 4 glasses facing down. Hey, do you think you can beat John's guess in solving this riddle? In the first move, you should pick any 3 glasses you'd like and turn them upside down. Then, the second move is where you should use a little bit more of your wits and skills. You shouldn't pick the exact same 3 glasses you picked in the first round, otherwise that would take you back to the beginning. Instead, you could choose to invert the glasses 1, 2, and 4, for example. So after move 2, you end up with the following order: up, up, down, down. Then your best move may sound counterintuitive, but you should pick 2 glasses that are down and 1 glass that is up. In the fourth move, you should pick the 3 glasses that are up and invert them. This way, you'll have all 4 glasses facing down. Congrats! You've just shown John and his party guests that the minimum number of moves to win this game is 4. Sandy was exploring the wood near her house when she discovered a magical portal. On the other side of it, She was shocked to find 3 of her close friends, Alex, Betty, and June. They had been captured by a trickster creature that had cast a spell on them. After that, one of them could only tell lies, the other could only tell the truth, and the third one was sort of a spy. Sometimes she lied, other times she told the truth. Sandy decided to talk to each one of them. Alex said she was not the truth teller. Betty said she was not the spy. And June said she was not a liar. Can you help Sandy figure out what June was cursed with? Well, let's see how we can solve the problem. In total, there are 6 possibilities to consider, and we should start with the most obvious. If Alex was a truth teller, then she could not say that she is not a truth teller. She can't be the liar either, because then her statement would actually be true. So it's settled. Alex is the spy. If Betty was a liar, then she would be always lying. Saying that she is not a spy would actually be true. So this is a no-go. Since she can't be a spy, this means she's the truth teller. Bingo! This means that June is the liar. It was Blake's lucky day. He won $1,000 on a lottery ticket. Of all the things he could spend this on, he knew immediately that he wanted to spend this money buying his favorite chocolate in the world. The chocolate bar he loves cost $1, and since his luck just keeps growing, the local store is having a promotion. For every 4 chocolate wrappers he takes back to the store will give him 1 chocolate bar for free. Ooh, talk about abundance. How about you show off your genius and figure out the maximum number of chocolate bars Blake can get? Well, let's see the best he could do. If Blake spends all of his money and buys 1,000 chocolate bars, he'll have 1,000 wrappers, correct? Then, if he exchanges every 4 wrappers for 1 additional chocolate bar, he can get 250 more chocolate bars from his 1,000 wrappers. Now, if Blake exchanged those 250 wrappers, he'd get another 62 chocolate bars. He'd use 248 wrappers, leaving him with the remaining 2 wrappers. Then his best deal would be to take those 62 wrappers, add the remaining 2 he kept from the last exchange, and he would have 64 wrappers in total. He can exchange these wrappers for another 16 chocolate bars. Then he'd take these 16 wrappers and trade them for 4 more chocolate bars. Exchanging those last 4 wrappers, he'd get his final chocolate bar. So, if Blake follows this process, he'll get a maximum of 1,333 chocolate bars in total. Now, we're not saying this is a smart idea, but your mother asks you to measure 4 cups of orange juice using 2 jugs. The thing is, you have a 20-cup jug and a 36-cup jug. How can you do it? You need to start by pouring the orange juice into the smaller jug. Then pour all the juice from that jug into the 36-cup jug. This way, the empty space from the big jug would give you 16 cups. After doing that, you can fill the 20-cup jug using more fresh juice and pour that liquid into the 36-cup jug. That way, you'll fill the entire 36-cup jug, and what's left in the smaller jug is the 4 cups of juice your mom asked for. Then you can start an orange juice stand. Sophie's aunt, Clara, bought a bottle of perfume for her niece's birthday. Unfortunately, Sophie couldn't keep it because her sister Mia is terribly allergic to perfumes. Sophie brought it back to her aunt, who had purchased it for $65. And Clara then sold the perfume to someone else for $80. But then she remembered she had another niece, Lily, so she bought it back from the lady for $70. However, Lily turned out to be allergic too, so Aunt Clara had to sell the perfume again, this time for $60. Did she make any profit in this whole situation? Yes. Aunt Clara made a $5 profit and celebrated it by grabbing a large latte. James, a mad scientist, was on a quest to solve a crazy problem from a friend. This challenge had him stopping everything just to figure it out. James had 2 stacks of cups to analyze. One stack had 5 cups piled on top of each other, reaching a total height of 13.5 inches. Right next to this stack, there was another stack with just 2 cups, totaling 7.5 inches in height. James needed to figure out how tall a single cup was. At first glance, it might seem like you could just divide the total height by the number of cups, but that wouldn't work here. Instead, James thought about the problem differently. He considered the height of a single cup as XX and noticed that each cup didn't sit perfectly on top of each other. There was a bit of overlap. For the 2-cup stack, the combined height is 7.5 inches. This includes the full height of the first cup, plus the part of the second cup that sticks out just above the first cup. The 5-cup stack, which is 13.5 inches tall, includes the height of the 2-cup stack, plus the additional height contributed by the overlapping parts of the 3 more cups on top. By examining the difference, James realized that the height of the overlapping parts of the cups amounted to 2 inches. With this information, he figured out that the remaining height for a single cup was 5.5 inches. Eureka! His persistence paid off, and James cracked the riddle. You might say, his cup runneth over, but that's too obvious a pun. Yeah, but I'll say it anyways. Hey, are you ready to test your brain power and see how much of it you actually use? Then, let's start. There once was an evil king who loved himself so much he'd always carry a pocket mirror to admire his own reflection. He wanted to have the largest and the most expensive castle in the whole world. He made workers build it day and night without a break, so they decided to take revenge on him. Once the castle was ready, the king went in and found himself in a maze. There were 3 doors, and he had to pick one to get out. Behind the first door, there was a hungry monster that could take the life of anyone who looked at it. Behind the second door, there was a shaky bridge over a chasm that was easy to fall into. And the third door opened to a massive fire blocking the way. So, what should the king choose? The king should choose the first door. He can use that mirror he has to reflect the monster's gaze. Voila! The monster is gone, and the king can pass easily. Yeah. Sandra has just moved into a new apartment, but she's in trouble already. She saw 2 people break into the apartment next door. She knew for sure she had just one neighbor, and he was a circus performer.
Oh.
Sandra called the police, but since none of the men had a key or an ID on them, the police couldn't help much. They decided to figure out which of the men was lying. Can you help them? Although there's plenty of sports gear in the room, the real clue is the flower on the clown's hat. The exact same flowers are growing in the apartment, so he's the real owner. The police found a secret lab with a mad scientist living in it. He was working on a superpower potion that would help him take over the city. Somehow, he managed to escape from the lab, and now the police have to find him to prevent disaster. Do you have any ideas on how to do it? There are some flasks in the trash can. They must be the clue. And he must have left this weird gadget behind. Let's keep on searching. Here are some suspicious footprints. The mad scientist must have left them behind. Do you see him? There he is, hiding behind the car. Neil invited his best friends to his birthday party and ordered a cab for them so they wouldn't have to drive. Everyone had fun, but then it was time to open the gifts, and one of the boxes turned out to be empty. Someone must have stolen it.
Oh no.
Sue said, "I make more money than all of you together. Why would I steal that gift?" Nikki said, "I've just arrived, and you're blaming me for stealing something? Sorry for being late." Mimi explained, "I haven't even seen that blue box with a golden ribbon before. Who's lying here?" Nikki. Everyone arrived in one taxi, so how could he have been late? Liza is a secret agent, and today her mission is to discover some super important papers from a little house in a faraway village. She arrived there, made sure no one was watching, and was about to enter. But there was a combination lock on the door. Luckily, there was a note nearby. Can you help Liza figure out the code using the note? You have to count how many logs there are in each section of the house. The note has the order in which the numbers must be placed. So the code is 7834. Nick has just arrived home after a weekend at the polo club with his friends. Yikes! He just saw a burglar running out of his house. Nick tried to follow the stranger, but he was way faster, so Nick couldn't catch him. But he noticed the burglar was running towards the construction site nearby. He must be pretending to be a construction worker. Which of these guys is an imposter? Look, this guy is trying to saw through a beam. The guy on top will fall if he succeeds here. He must be the burglar. This family only seems normal. The dad is a real superhero. He can travel in time, he can fly, has super hearing, and always knows when someone is lying. It's cool, but not for his son. He has really bad grades at school and was grounded for the holidays. The boy really wants to go to his best friend's birthday party. How can he escape? He can tell his dad he has to be at school today. He can lock himself in and escape through the window. He can run away quietly while his dad is watching TV. His dad will know when the boy is lying, and his super hearing will help him notice if his son is trying to run away. So, the only way out is through the window. Someone stole a famous masterpiece from an art gallery. 3 people were inside at the time of the crime: the head of the gallery, a maintenance person, and a visitor. The head of the gallery told the police, "I was in my office signing papers." The maintenance person said, "I was cleaning on the second floor and haven't noticed anything suspicious." The visitor said, "I was in the modern art hall and was looking at exhibits." The police immediately guessed who was lying. Can you do the same? It was the maintenance person. The gallery doesn't have a second floor. In a big company, an important contract went missing. 3 employees became the prime suspects: the manager, the secretary, and the analyst. Here's what they had to say. The manager said, "I was busy at meetings with clients all day." The secretary insisted, "I was filing mail in the archive." The analyst claimed, "I was analyzing reports from the last quarter." The police quickly figured out who was lying. So, who stole the document and how did they know? It was the secretary. The company only updates the archive on Fridays, but this happened on a Wednesday. Busted! Someone tried to hack the security system of a top-secret research base. The base is really well equipped, with self-updating software and all the latest tech. 3 team members fell under suspicion: the engineer, the guard, and the programmer. The engineer said, "I was checking the base's power supply, and everything was fine." The guard told the police, "I was patrolling the area, and everything was quiet." The programmer explained, "I was updating the system's software." The police immediately knew who tried to hack the system. Can you guess who it was and how they figured it out? It was the programmer. The system updates automatically and doesn't need any help with it. An experimental chemistry kit went missing at school, and there were 3 main suspects: the chemistry teacher, a student, and the school principal. Here's what they said. The teacher: "I was prepping for class." The student: "I was reading a book in the library." Principal: "I was reviewing documents about new supplies." The police immediately knew who was lying. So, who swiped the kit and how did they figure it out? It was the student. The library was closed for inventory on the day of the incident, so there's no way they could have been there. You've got 3 boxes, 1 with just apples, 1 with just oranges, and 1 with a mix of both. The problem is that all the labels are wrong. How can you fix the labels by pulling out just one fruit? Think it over. So here's the trick. Grab a fruit from the box labeled mixed. Since all the labels are wrong, this box actually has either just apples or just oranges. Let's say you pull out an apple. It would mean that this box is actually the just apples box. Now you've got 2 boxes left. The one labeled oranges can't just be oranges because it's mislabeled. And it can't be just apples because you've already found the apple box. So it must be the mixed box. It means the last box, which was labeled apples, must be the just oranges box. And there you go. You've sorted out all the boxes.
Alex is a teenager living in New York City. His science teacher assigned him an interesting experiment, and Alex's mind was buzzing with possibilities. He ran home and found a huge watermelon in his mother's pantry. It was massive. When he weighed it, he found it was 100 pounds. He found out everything he needed about watermelons. But the most important information was that watermelons were generally 99% water. For the experiment, he left the fruit drying out in the sun for a few days. With the help of a trusty weighing scale, he discovered that the watermelon was now only 98% water. To get a 10 in his science experiment, he needed to figure out the total weight of the watermelon after losing 1% of its water. Can you help Alex out with this one? Here's the deal. At first glance, this riddle sounds like a piece of cake. You might have guessed that the watermelon now weighed 99 pounds. But that's actually not even close. Let's work out the answer together. To solve the riddle, Alex should start by thinking about the non-water part of the watermelon. If the watermelon was 100 pounds and 99% water, then 1% of it was the actual fruit. So, 1% of 100 pounds is 1 pound of the fruit. After drying, the watermelon is 98% water, which means the 1 pound of fruit now makes up 2% of the total weight. So, if 1 pound is 2% of the total weight, we can call that total weight W. 1 pound of 2% of W, which is the same thing as saying that 1 pound equals 0.02 times W. To find W, we need to divide both sides by 0.02. So, if W equals 1 pound divided by 0.02, this means that W equals 50 pounds. Eureka! Alex had cracked the case. The once 100-pound watermelon now weighed 50 pounds. Cole invited his girlfriend Nikki over for a game night at his place. He told her he had a very difficult quiz prepared for her to solve. Cole showed her an empty triangular glass. He grabbed some orange juice and asked her when the glass would be closest to full. Measuring from the bottom of the glass till the top, Nikki had to guess the percentage of orange juice she'd have to pour in order for the triangular glass to be the closest as possible to half full. If you had to guess without any calculations, what would you say? This is tricky, but let's check out the answer. Intuitively, you might have thought that the answer was 50% of the height of the glass, but that's wrong. When 50% of its height is filled, it means there's only 12.5% of juice inside the glass. In a similar way, if the triangular glass was filled up to 70% of its height, this would mean that it is only 34.3% full. The answer we're looking for is 80% of the height of the glass. To solve this riddle, we need to remember a basic geometry formula that says that the percentage of the volume is equal to the cube of the percentage of the height. So, if we're looking for 50% of the volume, we're searching for nearly 80% of the height to make it equal. Got it, genius? It was a sunny day in Los Angeles, and Harry and Maria were planning their wedding. Maria was very nervous because she couldn't figure out the seating chart for their wedding. They had 100 guests and had to distribute them around. To lighten up the mood, Harry remembered an old, difficult-to-solve riddle that would definitely take Maria's mind off things. He asked her if she could figure out the mathematical equation needed to get the number 100 out of 4 nines. She could use the simple things such as addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. The important part was that she got the number 100 out of it all. Can you help Maria out? The best way to solve these kinds of riddles is to start backwards. There are multiple ways to get the total of 100. Dare to join me in brainstorming the ways? You could simply add 99 plus 1 or 90 plus 9 plus 1. But that's not what the rules ask us to do. We need to use the number 9 4 times. For example, 90 plus 9 times 9 divided by 9, well, this won't get us to 100. But what about 99 plus 9 divided by 9? I know we have 2 nines as one number, but that's okay by the rules. This way, you use all the 4 nines you need to use, although you are combining 2 nines into one number. But there are other possible answers. What do you say? Did you find any other answers to this crazy riddle? Once upon a time in a faraway kingdom, Queen Matilda needed to hire a worker for a 7-day project. The job was crucial, and she wanted to ensure the worker was paid daily. However, she could only pay him in gold bars, and she could only make a minimum of 2 cuts in her precious gold bar. Her plan was to pay him 1/7 of the bar per day. Can you figure out how she could manage to do this, following the conditions we showed? Well, Queen Matilda is a very intelligent woman, so this is how she worked it out. She made 2 precise cuts in the gold bar, creating 3 pieces. The first piece was 1/7 of the bar. The second piece was 2/7, and the third piece was 4/7. On the first day, the worker finished his shift, and Queen Matilda handed him the 1/7 piece. On the second day, she swapped the 1/7 piece for the 2/7 piece, so the worker now had 2/7 of the bar. By the third day, she gave him back the 1/7 piece, resulting in the worker having 3/7 in total. On the fourth day, Queen Matilda took back the 1/7 and 2/7 pieces and handed over the larger 4/7 piece. On the fifth day, the Queen handed over the 1/7 piece again, so the worker now had 5/7 of the bar. On the sixth day, the Queen took back the 1/7 piece and gave him the 2/7 piece, resulting in the worker having 6/7 of the bar. Finally, on the seventh day, the Queen handed over the last 1/7 piece, completing the full bar payment. And that's how Queen Matilda managed to pay her worker every day with just 2 cuts in the gold bar. Brilliant, right? Way to go, Queen M! Jake is on a bus, heading to visit his parents for the weekend. On another bus, coming from the opposite direction, is his brother, Max. Both buses are barreling down the road towards each other, each cruising along at 40 miles per hour. They started out at 40 miles apart. The brothers have been texting each other about their journeys, eager for the family reunion. As Jake stares out the window, he notices a little bird flitting around. His mind starts to wander and he imagines the bird flying back and forth between the two buses, and wonders how many miles the birds would have flown back and forth until the buses meet each other. Can you help him out there? First, Jake figures out how long it will take for the buses to meet. Since both buses are driving at 40 miles per hour, their combined speed is 80 miles per hour. With a 40-mile distance between them, he divides the distance by their combined speed. 40 divided by 80 equals 0.5 hours, or 30 minutes. Next, Jake turns his attention to the bird. He guesses the bird is flying at 50 miles per hour. Jake quickly multiplies the bird's speed by the time it takes for the buses to meet. This equals 25 minutes. So, by the time the buses meet, the little bird will have flown 25 miles. Yikes! Hey! Are you ready for a quick IQ check? Then welcome on board. Lucas wants to go to the circus, but he can't because his grades are bad. He's challenged by 2 clowns to solve a riddle for free entry. This riddle goes like this. What is as big as an elephant but weighs nothing? The correct answer is the elephant's shadow. A shadow can be as large as the object casting it, yet it has no weight. A wealthy singer, Robert Mars, was attacked in a luxury hotel room. The detective invited to investigate this case questions several suspects. The hotel chef claims that he was cooking a special dish for Robert when the accident happened. The bellhop says he was busy with luggage because many new guests arrived at once. And the maid states that she cleaned Robert's room in the morning, and at that time, everything was fine. Have you guessed who's behind the attack? The bellhop is hiding something. Have you noticed that he had Robert's suitcases? There was a tag on one of the bags. Doesn't it seem weird to you? It's definitely suspicious. Judges noticed that robots were competing instead of humans in a sports competition. Help them identify the robots among the athletes. Have a look. This athlete has visible gears in her head. She's adjusting her leg with a screwdriver. This one is wearing a mask. She must be hiding robotic features. A mad scientist caught Diana and locked her in a small room. There were no windows and the door was locked. But there was a note on the table. It was from the scientist. JFMAM. JASOND. Guess the missing letter and I'll set you free. 5 minutes later, Diana was already running away from the strange place. She managed to figure out that the missing letter was J. How did she do it? Those were the first letters of the month from January to December, and the sixth letter, J, stood for June. Criminals who have just escaped from jail have stolen important blueprints from Mark's lab. Now, they need to escape through one of 3 places: a police station, a room where a birthday party is taking place, or a bank during peak hours. Which option is the best? The birthday party. The thieves in their orange jumpsuits would blend in best since their bright costumes are quite common at such gatherings. They'll likely seem less suspicious there. Look at these people attentively. Can you figure out who's not from Earth? It must be the guy on the right. The guy on the left must be wearing a Halloween costume, but look at his blue eyes. They seem to be absolutely human. Now look at the eyes of the guy on the right. Those narrow black slits. Ugh, creepy. How about this image? Can you spot anyone who doesn't look like us Earthlings? It's that lady on the left. Have you noticed a couple of extra eyes hiding in her hair? These Formula 1 drivers are about to take part in a race. Which of them is from another planet? That guy over there. He's leaving a trail of slime behind. A man sitting in a car sees 3 doors. A bronze door, a silver door, and a golden door. Which door should he open first? Surely, he needs to open his car door first. Look at this man and 3 women attentively. Can you figure out which of them is his real wife? It must be the girl on the left. Look, unlike the other 2 girls, she has nothing in her hands. At the same time, the man is holding a purse, which, to be honest, isn't his style at all. Why did they kick Cinderella out of the football team? To crack this riddle, you need to think outside the box. Because she ran away from the ball. Haha, gotcha. Matthew reported seeing a vampire on his street. The detective came to investigate 3 new neighbors. Kevin had just moved there after divorcing his wife. Sam bought a house in the neighborhood after earning a lot of money. And Barley moved there to escape the hustle and bustle of city life. Have you guessed which of them is the vampire? It's Kevin. You see, Sam is talking to the detective outside in the sun, and Barley has a mirror in his house. Vampires can do neither of these things. It makes Kevin suspect number 1. Raphael, an agent, must disable the alarm on an alien ship by pressing 4 correct buttons simultaneously. Can you help him figure out which buttons to press? The buttons with slightly worn symbols are the ones used most frequently. I'm nothing more than holes tied to other holes. At the same time, I'm as strong as steel, but not as stiff as a pole. What am I? I'm a chain. I have an eye, but I can't see. I have no limbs, but I'm still faster and stronger than any man alive. Who am I? I'm a hurricane. At around 8 p.m., Melissa was walking in the park. Suddenly, she saw a guy lying on the ground. His bike was nearby, in the bushes. Melissa helped him sit up, and he told her that he'd been cycling through the park when someone had thrown something at him. He fell down and blacked out. Melissa had 4 suspects. Hannah said she'd been on a morning run and hadn't seen anything. Ryan said he'd taken his dog for a walk and they'd been in another part of the park. And Michael and Laura said they'd come to have a picnic and had been busy with the food. Do you know who's lying? Hannah. It's evening. How could she have her morning run? One guy was going to an amusement park. At one point, he arrived at a crossroads. There was a sign. Blueville, right. Amusement park, left. The guy stood there for a while, and then, terribly upset, he went home. Why? He thought the amusement park had really left. Once a powerful magician arrived at a small town. His visit caused strange occurrences. Can you find all the oddities in these scenes? Okay, let's start with those crosswalk lines. They're painted incorrectly. Then, a disembodied hand over there is writing by itself. Ugh, creepy. Oh look, a zombie is crawling out of the maintenance hole. Chef George lost his favorite knife just before the cafe was to open. George suspected his neighbors. Damien, the owner of a dry cleaner, and Alan, a toy store owner. Can you figure out who the thief is? Damien is the thief. Have you noticed George's knife in one of the washing machines in Damien's dry cleaner? It might be an attempt to sabotage the cafe opening. Billy brings some of his mom's jewelry to school. Sam, a feared bully, steals this jewelry and hides it like a pirate treasure. Luckily, Billy finds a map in Sam's bag. The instruction says, make 15 steps south and 5 steps east to find the treasure. But even though Billy follows the instructions to a T, he can't find the jewelry. Why? It's simple. Billy misjudged his step size. His steps are smaller than Sam's due to their height difference. So Billy dug in the wrong spot. But if he adjusts the step size, he will definitely find the treasure. Police officer Cheryl Adams was walking along the river, taking some pictures she needed for her case, when a man crashed into her. The man started to apologize. Someone had stolen his wallet and he was trying to catch the thief. He explained that he was painting his boat and his wallet was next to him. Then he got distracted, and when he turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore. Cheryl understood that the thief couldn't have gone far. They ran to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them attentively, the police officer knew who the thief was. Now, it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his left pant leg. Mary works as a manager at the local circus. Her task is to prepare their new location for future performances. She arrives at the spot, takes a look at the stage, and freaks out. Why? Take a closer look at the sign. It says citrus, when it should say circus. Oh my. Jerry and Michael went out for a boat ride and got into a bit of trouble. Both of their boats are slowly sinking. Which boat do you think will sink first? The first boat has 2 holes in it, but somehow it has way less water in it. The second boat only has 1 hole, but look at the amount of water that got inside. It's definitely the second boat that's gonna sink first. Eric and his friend Brenda are meeting for coffee. Eric is excited to meet her because he knows Brenda has a secret to tell him. Brenda has a new crush, but she won't reveal his name. Eric asked her to write a clue for him on a piece of paper, and she wrote the following code: 12, 8, 11. Can you figure out her crush's name? The numbers imply 3 months: December, August, and November. If we take the first letters of each month, we'll get the name Dan. Mandy, an off-duty private investigator, went to have lunch at her favorite cafe. There she saw 3 people that called her attention. She quickly noticed that one of them had probably been poisoned. Take a look at the image. Can you tell who it was? The third guy didn't even touch his cappuccino. He must be just sleeping. The second lady is awake. She has some cappuccino mustache, nothing criminal. But take a look at the first guy. He's wearing glasses, so we can't say for sure whether he's awake or not. Meanwhile, his phone is ringing off the hook in his pocket, and he shows no reaction at all. That's suspicious. Shelly and Bernie are best friends. Bernie decides to save some money to get her a very good present this year. On the first day of the month, he puts $1 in his piggy bank. On the second, he puts in $2. On the third day, $3, and so on. Yay! Shelly's birthday has finally arrived, and Bernie has saved a total of $276 in his piggy bank. Can you guess the exact day of the month when Shelly was born? Shelly's birthday is on the 23rd day of the month. The easiest way to crack this riddle would be to simply add the numbers until we get 276. Mandy and Oliver have a thing for abandoned mansions that look haunted. So on a Friday night, they went to visit one. The house was falling apart and they could hear a cry coming from it. Mandy decided to enter through the main door, while Oliver went straight to the basement. Take a look at the image. Who's in greater danger? It's Oliver. If the house decided to crumble right that instant, it would definitely hurt Oliver. Yikes! On her 6th birthday, Camilla got 3 new dolls as gifts. But during her first night with the dolls, she ran into her parents' room crying and scared, saying one of the dolls was alive. Take a look at them. Can you guess which one? Let's see. The first doll has glowing eyes, but that's just a fun feature. You can see her clothes also have the same thing. The second doll looks normal, but the third doll has wrinkly skin and her face has changed since Camilla first saw her. That's the one. It was Jenny's first day at her new job. Since she had so much to do, she only went down to the cafeteria to eat lunch very late in the afternoon. By that time, there weren't many options left. Take a look at the picture. What's Jenny's safest choice? Let's see. That burger looks nice, but there's a lipstick stain on the bun, so that's a no. The apple pie is steaming, but it looks like it's been microwaved dozens of times, and it's about to go bad. Her safest choice is probably the frozen pizza. They defrost it on the spot. Hey, at least like this, she won't get food poisoning. It's lunchtime, and Becca goes to the fridge to grab the sandwich she brought from home. But when she opens the fridge, she notices that her food is missing. Someone probably ate her burrito. She decides to conduct a quick investigation to see who stole her lunch. Her boss ordered some expensive takeout from a new restaurant in town. Joe, her colleague, is highly allergic to gluten, so he ate something he brought from home as well. Helen, the supervisor, ate a delicious salad bowl from the cafeteria. Take a look at the picture. Can you guess who stole Becca's lunch? It was Joe. His hands are all swollen. He probably ate the burrito even though he's allergic to gluten. Yikes! Lucy was wandering through a forest when she stumbled upon a magical portal. Suddenly, she found herself in a mystical realm. There, she came across 3 talking animals: a fox, a raccoon, and a rabbit. One of them had swiped her magic amulet, which she needed to get back to her world. You know for a fact that the thief always lies, while the others tell the truth. The fox said that he didn't do it. The raccoon said it was the rabbit, but the rabbit denied taking the amulet. Can you help Lucy figure out which animal took her amulet? The rabbit is the culprit. The fox was telling the truth when he said he didn't do it. The raccoon pointed to the real thief. And the rabbit lied when he denied it. It's the rabbit. Sam was traveling through Italy and decided to treat himself to a fancy dinner at a swanky restaurant. While he was halfway through his meal, an old man came up to him. The guy said Sam looked just like his son and asked for a favor. He hadn't seen his son in years, so he asked Sam to say "Good night, Dad" when he left the restaurant. Sam thought it was a bit weird, but agreed. A little later, he got the shock of his life. Can you guess what happened? Sam got stuck with the old man's bill. The old man had told the waiter to hand the bill to his son. Oh no, can't believe he fell for that. Harry is an events producer. His stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he goes to look for some food. He walks into a store where 2 chefs are baking cakes, but here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake. So you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Mia is traveling, and she just arrived in a new city. Most of the hotels were booked since it was summertime, so she only found available rooms in an old house. There were 3 rooms for her to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should she pick? Well, so you see the hidden scorpions behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold, even though it's snowing outside. No to that. So, she should definitely pick the second room. It looks pretty clean. Hey Brightside detectives, we really need your help here. These riddles are to be solved as fast as possible. Look at these 2 people. Both of them seem to be in grave danger, but only one of them is actually risking his life. Which person is it? The gentleman with the cane is out of danger. He'll figure out that the edge of the cliff is ahead with the help of his cane. As for the man engrossed in his smartphone, he might not notice the edge of the cliff and fall down. While swimming near the shore, Mark has come across 3 young ladies. What the guy doesn't know is that only one of these women is not a mermaid. How can he understand who is who? Well, the answer is quite obvious. The guy should dive and check which one of the girls has legs and which 2 are sporting tails. Look at these 2 doctors attentively. Only one of them is a real vet. Which doc is it? The real vet is wearing gloves. Each of these 3 prisoners is hoping to escape one day, but one of them might do it in the near future. Which one is it? The guy who's peacefully reading a book must be planning an escape. Do you see that poster on the wall? It's likely covering a hole. Look at the ground right beneath it. There's some sand from drilling. Maria got lost in an enchanted castle. While looking for a way out, she entered a room filled with similarly dressed gentlemen. They were all cheering for the king. Oh, maybe he could help Maria get out of the castle. But how can the girl figure out which of these men is the king? The king is the man on the right, sitting next to Maria. He's the only one who's looking out the window while everyone else is looking at him. In search of a treasure, you come to this crossroads. Which direction should you pick to find the treasure? The answer is actually carved on the stone. Turn the inscription upside down, and it'll say South. David woke up in a hospital with no memories whatsoever. Soon, 3 girls rushed into his room. Each of them claimed to be his only sister. Can you help David figure out which of these ladies is telling the truth? David's real sister is the girl in the middle. Look, they both have identical birthmarks on their hands. Michael was diving when he realized he was about to run out of oxygen. He saw 2 caves nearby. Which cave should he choose to have a chance to survive? He should opt for the left cave. Have you noticed those bubbles of air coming out of it? It means there must be some dry land inside the cave. An elderly lady called the police to report that her neighbor, a young woman called Gina, seemed to have disappeared. The woman hadn't seen her for a few days and got worried. When the police arrived at Gina's house, they managed to unlock the door and found Gina inside, tied to a chair with her mouth covered with a scarf. When she could talk again, she told the police that 3 days ago, a robber had broken into her house, tied her, and taken all her money and gadgets. The police officers didn't believe Gina. Why? Look at the date on the calendar, over there on the wall. See? It's the same date as the one on the calendar at the police station. But if Gina was tied all this time, who was changing the dates on her calendar? 3 friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek. When it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends, she easily found Mark. But even with his help, she couldn't spot Kathy. Can you help Lauren find her friend? Kathy took her task seriously. Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Megan invited her friends to a restaurant to celebrate her birthday. They had a lot of fun. Megan got the best birthday present ever, a ring with a large diamond. But suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. After several minutes of total confusion, the lights came back on. But Megan's ring was gone. Look at the image attentively and try to figure out who stole it. It's the waiter. Look at the glass he's holding. He must have put the ring inside. Now there's much more water in it. It's the year 2158. Jim is repairing the roof of his garage. At one point, he slips and falls to the ground and breaks his leg. But the next day, Jim is already walking in the park, looking perfectly fine. How is it possible? Jim is a robot. See that red light blinking over his left ear? They must have repaired him really fast. Marta was walking through the park near her home in the evening. It was dark and there was nobody around. Suddenly, her bag was grabbed from behind and the person bolted away. Marta took off after them. She was pretty sure this person was a woman, but she couldn't make out her appearance or clothes. The woman disappeared inside a school building. When Marta ran inside, she saw 3 teachers. The girl looked at them attentively and soon figured out which one had taken her bag. Can you do the same? The woman in the middle wouldn't be able to run with the cast on her leg. The one on the right doesn't have anything in her hands. Where would she hide Marta's bag so quickly? But the woman on the left has a big shopper bag on her shoulder. A real teacher wouldn't need to carry it in the classroom. A wealthy businessman was kidnapped right from his house. The detective who arrived to investigate the case found nothing strange inside, but a mysterious note with a strange set of symbols written on it. There are 3 suspects, Eric, Ellie, and Colin. Can you help the detective identify the criminal? The culprit is Ellie. Her name is the one coded in the note. Susan worked in a clothing store that sold expensive designer items. One day, she discovered that someone had stolen a pair of pants. Look at the people who were inside at that time. Try to figure out who the thief is. It's the guy on the right. If you look attentively at his legs, you'll see the pants peeping out from under his jeans. Newlyweds Maria and Daniel went to a tropical island on their honeymoon. They stayed at a luxurious hotel. But one day, when they returned from dinner, they found out that someone had broken into their safe and stolen Maria's jewelry. There were several suspects: a maid, Maria and Daniel's neighbors, and the hotel manager. But the maid claimed that she hadn't cleaned any rooms on the newlyweds' floor at all that day. The neighbors said that they had been on an excursion all day and had just returned. And the hotel manager stated that he had several important meetings with clients and hadn't left his office. Can you figure out who the thief is really quick? The neighbors stole the jewelry. Have you noticed a bolt cutter in their bag? Why would they need it on an excursion? David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said that he had been putting tiles on the roof when the accident happened. Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under a tree. And John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there. Ava got into a serious accident during the weekend. She got a concussion and broke her leg. Still, the very next day, one of her friends saw her riding a bicycle in the park, and she looked fine. How is that possible? Look, the girl who got into the car accident has a tattoo on her ankle. The girl on the bike doesn't. The girl who was riding the bike was Ava's twin sister, Malva. A doctor rushed into the emergency room and saw there were 2 patients waiting for urgent treatment. The man on the left was a tech millionaire, and the lady on the right was a grandmother to 5 children. He needed to think fast who he would save. Who should he choose? He should choose the grandmother. The man on the left has a phone next to him. He could call someone else for help. 3 scientists went to research in the Amazon forest. Bianca had some trouble with the harsh weather, but felt it was worth it in the end. Pablo had a great time photographing the wildlife for his social media page, and Helena got to study a rare species of carnivorous plant. On the last day of their trip, passing through airport security, one of them got caught trying to take something in their backpack. Take a look at the picture. Can you tell who it was? Well, it's illegal to take seeds and plants with you, and Helena had a carnivorous plant in her backpack. Yikes! Mia went to Rome for summer vacation. She was wandering through the streets when she saw an artist's easel was knocked over. He said he had stepped away for 1 second and the tragedy happened. Mia decided to help him solve the case and interviewed a few people. Marco said that he'd been taking photos nearby. Harry said he'd been juggling for a big crowd a few meters away. Josie said that she'd come by just to buy a painting from the artist. And Leo said he had been enjoying gelato at a cafe nearby. Can you help Mia figure this one out? Well, look at Harry's backpack. There are some art supplies sticking out of it. He must have created a distraction to steal it. Yikes! Barbara invited her colleague Sabrina for lunch at her place. Sabrina was surprised she thought Barbara didn't like her. But Barbara went all in for their lunch. She even cooked delicious tuna. She split the fish in half and each of the ladies ate their portion. A few hours after lunch, Sabrina ended up in the hospital with severe food poisoning. After a thorough investigation, the police popped over at Barbara's house and arrested her. But how is this possible? Take a look at the knife Barbara used to prepare the meal. It had a bit of poison on one side. Certainly the side that she gave Barbara to eat. Oh my. You meet a friend for coffee, and she says she will only spill the tea on her latest secret if you can guess her riddle. She says, 5 costs $25, 25 costs $50. If you buy 255, you pay $75. What is it that you're buying, and how much does one item cost? You're buying door numbers, and each number costs $25. It took a decade for Professor Evans' archaeological mission to find a priceless artifact. The professor stored it safely in a vault. The team celebrated the win with a bonfire and went to sleep. The next morning, the artifact was gone. Professor Evans decided to investigate the robbery herself. Jack said he spent the last 2 hours cataloging the pottery they had found earlier. Olivia claimed she spent the last few hours in the rest area getting some sleep. Mark mentioned he'd been repairing the digger all morning. Professor Evans immediately figured out who took the artifact. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. He claimed he spent the entire morning fixing the digger. But take a look at his hands. They should be dirty from the repairs. A car crashed into a restaurant window and drove straight inside. The owner was horrified and called the cops to investigate. There were 2 main suspects, Julia and Bernard. Each of them claims it was the other person who is the culprit. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who's lying? It's Julia. If you pay attention to the tire tracks, you'll see that they're the same pattern as Julia's tires. She's the one who did it. Take a look at this picture. Can you guess who is more reckless? Let's see. On the first pic, we see a little kid on the beach playing near the water. His super muscular dad is in the background talking to a couple of women. In the second pic, the little kid is playing catch with a not-so-friendly dog. But hey, his dad in the background is paying close attention. It's safe to say the dad on the first pic is more reckless. You are in Greece, exploring some of the country's ancient ruins. You get lost from your group and find the entrance to a hidden cave. You come across a mysterious chamber with 4 massive doors, each with a unique symbol. Beside it, there is an ancient scroll. When you open it, you find a message that tells you to trust that your mind knows the fleeting nature of time. The first door carries the symbol of a shield. The second door has a crown. The third door features a pair of wings, and the fourth door has an hourglass on it. Which door will lead you to the treasure? The fourth door, the one with the hourglass. The clue was in the last phrase, the fleeting nature of time. It's the hourglass. You walk into a diner and there are two very suspicious clients indoors. And one of them is actually a criminal. Who is it? Let's have a look. The first guy looks suspicious, especially since he's holding a defensive device. The second girl looks more innocent. She's just sitting holding a knife and cutting her salad with it. But hey, she's the guilty one. That huge knife is too big for cutting a salad, and it's got a red stain on it. Sarah was invited for a brunch with her new colleagues from work. She recently started working at a tech company. She arrived at the restaurant but didn't see any of her colleagues. Instead, she saw a weird-looking robot. How could she tell that it was really a robot? I know it looks like a person, but hey, look at her wrists. She has USB entrances on both of them. It must have been one of the pranks her colleagues decided to play on her. Maeve quit her job and decided to travel the world. Her first destination was Paris. She didn't know anything or anyone over there, so she arrived and looked for the first hostel she could find. But, oh no, she really shouldn't go inside this place. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out why? This hostel is haunted. There's the shadow of a ghost on the top window. I definitely wouldn't go in. One late summer evening, a thief broke into a renowned artist studio and stole a rare painting. He didn't manage to get too far though, because a security patrol passed by while he was escaping. The thief stashed the painting under a thick bush and hid behind a nearby wall. The artist was quick to notice they had been stolen and called Detective Summer for help. The detective soon gathered two suspects. Take a look at the picture. Which guy did it? If you crawl through a bush with bare arms, they will most likely get scratched. Take a look at that second guy's arms. They're covered in scratches. He must be the culprit. Josh is an elite hunter for all things paranormal. He's called to visit a rich man's house. When he gets to the second floor, his paranormality detecting watch starts beeping. His watch never lies, so he knows there must be some scary creature nearby. Before him, there were 3 doors. Just by looking at them, can you guess behind which door the ghost is hiding? Let's see. There are footprints leading to all 3 doors, but the footprints leading to door B are uneven. So this could be the ghost trying to trick Josh. He walks inside the room and encounters a werewolf. Yikes! After this successful mission, he gets on his motorcycle and drives home. But when he stops at a red light, his paranormal watch starts to beep again. The watch is even more sensitive to ghosts, so he senses there must be one nearby. Take a look at the image. Do you have any clue where the ghost might be? There's a woman standing at the bus stop, next to the red light. Her feet aren't touching the ground and her stare is blank. She must be the ghost. When Josh tries to capture her, she disappears into the dark forest. Josh tries to locate the girls through his watch and walks into the forest too. The watch shows him 3 routes, A, B, and C. Can you guess the correct one? It's route B. That one leads to the girl. Josh follows the route, but it leads him to a meadow with different trees. Take a look at the image. Can you guess where the girl is hiding? Tree A or tree B? The ghost is hiding behind that tiny tree, next to tree A. If you look carefully at the shadow, the shape is too weird. Josh snaps his ghost device and captures the ghost.
Yeah!
Dan and Jesse are detectives. Early one morning, they got an urgent call from one of their clients, saying they needed to come over ASAP. They got into their vehicle and drove to the location. On the way, they were stopped by a police checkpoint. Dan and Jesse had to get out of the vehicle for an inspection. But Dan noticed something strange. The cop was a fake. How could he tell? The cop was wearing a ripped shirt, but that was not the real issue. His badge said City Police with a U instead of an O. Big trouble there, buddy. 3 vehicles are racing each other for a $20,000 prize. They're driving on a dangerous road, and each of them has their obstacles to overcome. Take a look at the image. Which vehicle is going to win the race? The first vehicle tried to escape those nails on the ground, but the nails were going to puncture one of the vehicles for sure. The third driver may try to contour the obstacle in front of him, but that will make him lose time. The one in the middle has the most chances of winning, since he's large enough to go through that hole. Maya and Rob are a couple famous for robbing expensive stores. One night, they decided to break into the town's most famous jewelry store. In the middle of the night, they arrive in front of the store and see there is a complex lock system protecting the store. Rob pulls 3 keys from his toolbox. One of them opens the lock, but if they use the incorrect key, the alarm will go off. Take a look and give it your best guess to find the correct lock. The second key is the correct one. If you notice, the lower line is missing in the third key, and the first key won't even fit into the keyhole since the lower part is inverted. Detective Saul woke up in an empty room. The last thing she remembers was helping to solve an important robbery that happened in her neighborhood. The room had nothing but 3 paintings hanging on the wall. She also noticed that the door was locked with a super technological code system. Saul uses the pictures on the wall as clues to sort out the code of the lock and see her way to freedom. Can you figure out what the 3-letter code is? The code is ICE. All 3 frames are related to ice. She puts in the code and it works. She's free!
Yes!
Jenny, Beth, and Prim are sisters. Their father tells them he needs to decide who's going to be the heir to the biggest amount of money he leaves behind. He tells them to boil water. The kettle of the daughter whose water boils first will determine who becomes the heir. They all start boiling at the same time, but the youngest's kettle boils first. Why? While the other daughters kept checking by lifting the lid, the youngest daughter kept hers closed, making it boil faster. Way to go. Drake is a businessman and needed to drive from New York to Boston. As soon as he arrived in Boston, he noticed that his tire was punctured at the beginning of the trip. Somehow, his journey was unaffected. How is that possible? The punctured tire was his spare one. Mary and Anna grew up in a middle-class suburban family. After they graduated, both of them moved to New York City to follow their dream jobs. But while Mary succeeded greatly in her career, making a lot of money, the same didn't happen for Anna. Today, Mary is rich and Anna is broke. Take a look at the image of both girls inside their apartments. Can you guess who is who? Anna is the one on the left. Although she looks like she owns some nice stuff, all of her home decor has price tags on it, so she's probably planning on returning these items to the store. The company decided to have a fun day with its employees. A lucky person would win the latest laptop if they could get out of a maze the fastest way possible. Brad and Monica were the only ones who said yes to the challenge, but it looks like they're both having a difficult time. Take a look at the image. Who's more stupid?
Ah.
Oh no!
Let's see. Well, Brad lost his glasses and he couldn't see anything. It's like he's trying to walk through the maze in a blindfold.
Oh really?
And Monica just needs to turn her map the other way around, and she'll make it out okay.
Oh my god.
Jenny is moving to Australia. Her bags are packed and she's ready to leave the house. But on her way out, she noticed she was forgetting a few pretty important things.
No.
She needs to find her passport, her phone, and the note with the address of her hotel. Can you help her find these items? Could Jenny be any messier? Her phone is thrown on the floor next to the couch. The note is tucked in between a couple of books on her shelf, and her passport is next to the center table's feet. Yikes! Harry is out on an important mission. He is a young new musician, and he sent one of his original songs to a producer. The producer wanted to release the song without giving Harry any credits, so Harry decided to hack the man's computer. When he accessed his IP, a strange code appeared. Harry needed to decipher the code in order to break in. Take a look. Can you figure out what the code stands for? It's way simpler than you might think. The answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All the numbers were shown with their mirror reflections. Easy peasy. Detective Sean arrived at a robbery. Someone had stolen from an Apple store. While Sean was talking to the security guard, he noticed the security guard was one of the robbers. How did he know? The security guard was standing next to a shattered glass that had been broken by hand, and his hand had lots of scratches and band-aids on it. He probably took advantage of the situation and took some things for himself. Once, an expedition set up camp in the middle of a desert. They decided to spend a few days in that place, but when they woke up, their truck had disappeared. Luckily, they had enough food to last a week, but no power and little water. 3 days later, one of the members of the expedition disappeared. The leader of the team questioned the remaining people. Logan said he'd been walking around the camp trying to find water. Joanna said she'd been playing games on her smartphone. Samantha claimed she'd been sleeping all day long to save energy. And Nick said he'd been preparing a report in his tent. Can you figure out who's lying? Joanna isn't telling the truth. Within 3 days, her phone would have already run out of battery. And the expedition doesn't have any power, remember?
Oh.
James was walking near the river in the evening when a group of people dressed in black and wearing masks grabbed him. The leader told James that he had 3 options. They could throw him into the sea with hungry piranhas. He could choose to get dumped into the ocean swarming with sharks, or he could opt for a river with hippos. What option should James pick to survive? Piranhas only live in fresh water. The guy should pick the sea with piranhas. Yeah! Ah, look at the groom. It seems he might not live long enough to become a husband. Oh, no. One of these ladies has bitten him. Which one was it? It was Lady C. Look at her ears. She doesn't seem to be human. Oh. Look at these 2 pictures and try to figure out who is the robot here. Despite their unusual tattoos, the girls are humans. The robot is actually the cat in the picture on the right. Have you noticed that it's charging through a USB port on its side? Oh. Students knew they would have an exam on Monday, but their professor refused to tell them the exact time. Every time they asked, they got a weird reply. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, 10 plus 6 equals 4. If you manage to figure out the answer, you won't miss the exam. Do you know when the students should meet with their professor? At 4 p.m. 11 o'clock plus 2 hours is 1 p.m. Then 10 o'clock and 6 hours is 4 p.m. Whoa. Look at these seemingly wealthy women. In reality, one of them is just pretending to be rich. Which one is it? It's the lady on the left. Her bag is fake. The label claims it's Goosey when it's supposed to be Gucci.
Oh my god.
Mark is locked in a room. There are 4 doors there. The guy has entered through one of them and he can't use it again. The first door leads to the room with high voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a water-filled room swarming with sharks. And the third door hides a room where acid flesh-melting rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is the least dangerous and can give Mark a chance to escape? Mark should opt for the first door. It'll be safe if Mark doesn't let his body come into contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Now, try to crack this tricky riddle. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, this thing is as strong as steel but not as stiff as a pole. So what's your idea? What is it? It's a chain. Ooh. 2 people were born at the exact same time but have different birth dates. How is it even possible? These people were born in different time zones in different places in the world. Now you have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4. And the game will end there. Mira inherited an old house from her granddad. When she was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it, and saw a small room with 3 bags and a note. One of the bags has $1 million and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Mira also noticed there was a message on each bag. The first bag claimed, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the third bag said, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. William took part in a game show and ended up as one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. He came up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks was safe to try. The other 2 were poisoned, and even though a mistake wouldn't cost William his life, the consequences would be unpleasant. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should William choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have already melted completely. But it didn't happen. Cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. William opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. Look at these people walking along the sea attentively. One of them isn't human. Who is it? It's the young guy in the middle. He has no shadow. Creepy. When you look for something, you always find it in the last place where you search. Why is that? It's always the last place where you look, because after this, you stop your search. One of these ladies is a sporty man's wife. How long will it take you to guess which one it is? It's the girl who doesn't have a helmet, because her helmet is waiting for her on her husband's bike. All of these people seem to be terribly sick. Oh, I see. It's the maid. She's poisoned them. But what if I tell you that one of these people is actually faking poisoning, trying to save their life? Can you figure out who it is?
Oh my God!
It's the woman on the left wearing a red dress. She hasn't even touched her drink. Look at these ladies very attentively. One of them has stolen a watermelon. Can you understand which one it is? It's the woman on the right. The watermelon is actually peeking through her clothes. You're walking through a forest when you see a big lake. In the middle of the lake, you notice 3 cages floating on the surface. Inside, there are 3 people. Adam's cage is blocked by a huge chunk of ice. Luke's cage is locked with a massive padlock. And on top of Helen's cage, there's a container with boiling water. You can help only one of them. Who should you pick? You should choose to help Luke. The ice blocking Adam's cage will melt sooner or later, the boiling water will evaporate, and Helen will be able to escape, but Luke won't get out of the cage on his own.
Help!
2 identical vans were crossing the bridge when it collapsed. The cars fell into the water and started to sink. Luckily, the drivers were unharmed, but they had to figure out how to get to the surface really fast because the vans started to fill with water. One of the drivers began to push the closest door, and the other tried to open the side door. Who has a higher chance of survival? The first driver won't be able to open the door because of the water pressure, but the side door in the second car is a sliding door. With some effort, the second driver will be able to open it and escape. Mark worked in a secret laboratory that had super strict rules. Once, he got so engrossed in his experiments that he missed the end of the working day. It meant he got locked inside and could only get out of the building through one of 3 doors, but one exit was guarded by a bear. Near the second one, a large and furious dog was pacing on a leash, and the last door was blocked by an armed security guard who would never go against the rules. Which door should Mark choose to spend the night at home? Mark should opt for the first door. Yeah, the bear looks threatening, but it's sleeping. So if Mark is quiet enough, there's a chance he'll slip past the animal unnoticed. 3 waitresses are working at a restaurant serving drinks and food, but one of them is actually a thief. Can you figure out which one it is? It's that girl in the middle. Have you paid attention to her handbag? It's Dior. Who would have been wearing a designer bag while working in a cafe? She must have stolen it a few minutes ago. Look at these people taking part in a business meeting. They look elegant and well off, but one of them is actually an undercover police officer. Can you spot them? It's this man on the right. Have you noticed his old sneakers? That's a weird choice of footwear for a business meeting. These 2 women look like regular prisoners minding their own business, but one of them is actually a werewolf in disguise. Can you figure out which one it is? It's the girl on the left. Have you noticed claw marks on the wall of her cell? She must have felt restless at one point. Uh-oh. 3 people are having a meal in a cafe. All of them seem to be regular customers, right? But what if I tell you that one of them is actually a vampire? Try to spot this monster before they start their hunt. It's that woman on the right. Look, the girl on the left is eating pizza with garlic, so she can't be a vampire. The man in the middle is reflected in the mirror hanging on the wall behind his back, so it leaves us with the woman on the right. Damien went on a long-awaited sea cruise. At first, everything was going great, but then a young girl, Alex, who was also on the cruise, disappeared. The ship immediately changed course and stopped at a port. Police officers arrived and questioned the passengers. After the interrogation, they had 3 suspects. When Damien looked at them attentively, he realized who was behind the girl's disappearance right away. Can you figure it out too? It's that woman on the right. She's got Alex's suitcase. The girl had it at the beginning of the journey, plus her name is on the handle. A young geography teacher disappeared on the first day of school. The police have 3 suspects: the headmaster, the PE teacher, and the janitor. Look at these people attentively and find the culprit. The janitor is behind the geography teacher's disappearance. Have you noticed a globe in his closet? This student dormitory has very strict rules of being absent after lights out. But look at this room. One of its inhabitants managed to sneak out to attend a party and get back. Who's the rule breaker? It's this guy on the left. Have you noticed a glow stick bracelet on his hand? Look at these 3 zombies. One of them is not as bad as it seems. Can you figure out which zombie isn't dangerous? The zombie on the left is petting a dog. He seems to love animals. He can't be dangerous. 3 museum guards were protecting the most expensive vase in history. It was kept in a vault used to store the most precious exhibits. But all the security measures didn't help, and the vase got stolen. Since no one entered the vault or left it, the police concluded that the thief was one of the guards. Look at this security footage and say which guard is the criminal. It's the third guard. In the footage, he didn't move even once, which is impossible for a breathing human. He must have messed with the footage by altering the recording of himself. David moved to a small town and decided to get a tattoo to celebrate this new stage of his life. There were just 2 tattoo parlors in the town. One was dark and gloomy. The equipment was old, and the tattoo artist himself had a sloppy tattoo on his back. The second parlor was bright. The equipment was shiny, and the tattoo artist had a beautiful, skillfully made tattoo on his back. Strangely, David chose the first tattoo parlor. Why? There are only 2 tattoo artists in town, and they couldn't tattoo their own backs. It means they gave tattoos to each other. If you compare their works, you'll immediately see that, despite his old equipment and gloomy atmosphere in his parlor, the first tattoo artist is much more skilled. A security guard at a supermarket found a lost wallet. After he made an announcement, 2 guys appeared, each of them claiming the wallet was his. The guard looked at them and gave the wallet to the taller guy. Why did he do that? Look, his belt is in exactly the same style and made of exactly the same material as the wallet. It must have been a set. The wallet and the belt were sold together. Alice got lost in the woods. After wandering for a while, she saw a mysterious castle. When she entered it, the owner of the castle immediately showed up. He made an offer. Alice could answer his question and he would show her the way home before midnight. But if she lost, she would stay in the castle forever. Alice agreed. There were 4 mirrors on the walls. Each mirror had a reflection of some mystical creature: a dragon, a vampire, a mermaid, and a zombie. Alice needed to figure out which reflection wasn't real. Can you help her? It's the vampire. Do you remember that these creatures aren't reflected in mirrors? Michael was getting ready for a long-awaited date, but when he arrived, he was shocked to see 2 identical girls. They both claimed to be his date. Can you help the guy figure out which girl is an imposter? The girl on the right isn't human. Have you noticed that she has 2 left feet? A police officer claims that one of the suspects she's detained is a werewolf. Can you figure out which of them isn't human? The police officer herself is a werewolf. Look at her hands. She actually has not nails, but claws. Both of these women claim to be this kid's mother, but one of them's lying. Think hard and expose the fake mom. The lady on the left has the same hair and eye color as the kid, but the second one has 2 moles in the same spots as the child. Plus, she's wearing a bracelet depicting a baby. In the magic country of Narnia, all animals are intelligent and rational. You're watching 10 lions and a sheep. If you get distracted, a lion can eat a sheep. What lions don't know is that later, the one that has eaten a sheep will turn into a sheep itself. In this case, the rest of the lions will eat it. If you leave this company alone for some time, how many lions and sheep will you find when you come back? When you return, there will be 9 lions and 1 sheep. The main thing here is that all the animals are rational. Once the lion eats the sheep and turns into a sheep itself, the rest of the lions will understand the consequences and prefer to stay in the safety of their natural form. I've got a bunch of new riddles for you, oh great detective! Concentrate and crack them all like nuts. Look at this picture very attentively. One of these people attacked the artist, but can you figure out who it was? The artist started writing the letter K and then another letter, but he didn't have time to finish it. It seems to be an I, so the culprit could be Kitty. But at the same time, it also looks as if the artist simply didn't have time to finish the letter L, which is another letter that can be confused with I. So, if the injured man tried to write the lower part of the letter L but didn't have enough time to finish it, it could easily be Claude, who attacked him. What do you think? Was it Claude or Kitty? Write your answer in the comments. These people seem to be rather strange, but only one of them is a real vampire. Who is it? All of them are drinking something red, but it might be just some pomegranate juice. The girl on the left has a blood red streak next to her mouth, but it might just be smudged lipstick. The man has weird teeth, but they could be artificial. As for the woman on the right, she must be the vampire. Have you noticed that she doesn't have a reflection in the mirror? This couple is about to get married. What a happy event! But not everything is rainbows and butterflies here. One of the people in the picture is actually an alien. Have you spotted this guest from another planet? It's the bride herself. Look, she's got 3 arms. Continuing with the topic of extraterrestrial visitors, you need to find an alien among these athletes. Can you spot anything unusual about them? The guy on the left must be an alien. He's got 2 left hands. Yikes. Creepy. Now this guy seems to be lost and confused. There are 2 doors in front of him, and both ladies seem friendly. But one of the doors isn't safe to enter. Which one is it? It's the door on the left. This glamorous lady is offering the guy a ride, but do you see that strange decor in her apartment? Especially the skull? At the same time, the second woman looks quite disheveled. But despite her messy appearance, offering food might just be a kind gesture. In any case, a ride with a stranger holds more risk than a simple hamburger. Look at these bathrooms very attentively. Your task is to figure out which of them belongs to a zombie. Well, both bathrooms look kinda disgusting, but a real zombie leaves on the left. Do you see that glass standing on the sink in the left room? The zombie keeps his fingers there. Ugh. We've got 3 Miss School contestants here. They look pretty and all, but one of them is actually dangerous. Which one is it? It's the girl in the pink dress. There's blood on her crown. Another day, another monster. Look at these people attentively and try to figure out which of them is a werewolf. The man on the left is just wearing a mask. It's quite obvious. The lady in the middle might have had some kind of an accident, hence the bizarre blue spots on her body. But the man on the right is literally covered with fur, which he is trying to hide with his clothes, but his true nature can still be spotted. A crazy scientist captured Mark and locked him in his lab to use the guy for his experiments. Luckily, the guy managed to get out of the lab, taking along 3 pills. Each of them worked for 10 seconds. The green pill could provide him with regeneration abilities. The red pill could allow him to become invisible. And the blue pill provided him with the ability to fly. To get out of there, Mark had to pass through 3 rooms. One was guarded by a vampire, the second one was protected by a werewolf, and the third one hosted a maniac with a chainsaw. Which pill should Mark take to pass through each room? Mark needs to take the invisibility pill to get past the vampire, the pill enabling him to fly to get past the werewolf, and the regeneration pill to escape the chainsaw. Simon was stuck at a gas station 50 miles away from the city. His car was broken and could be repaired only by the end of the day. Luckily, there were 3 drivers who were ready to offer him a ride to the city. Look at these people and try to understand which car is safe. The driver in the red car is actually a criminal. The police have been looking for the vehicle he's driving. It must have been stolen. The man in the yellow car must be a criminal too, since he is depicted on the wanted poster on the wall. Only that granny in the blue car is safe to ride with. Maria Walker, a rich businesswoman, collected ancient pieces of art. One day, she managed to buy a priceless Chinese figurine. Maria locked it in a safe in her office and went home. But the next morning, the figurine was gone. Police have 3 suspects, all of them Miss Walker's subordinates. The detective asked each of them if they'd taken the figurine from the safe. Beverly said she hadn't been to the office since Monday. Ralph said that he didn't even know how to open safes and wasn't interested in Chinese art. And Vincent admitted that he'd been to Miss Walker's office after her departure, but he only took some documents he needed. Have you understood who the thief was? It was Ralph. Otherwise, how would he know the figurine was Chinese? Mary was a college teacher. It was the beginning of a new school year and 3 new students joined the class. When Mary saw them, she immediately realized something was off about one of them. What did she notice? The guy in the middle doesn't have a shadow. Logan worked as a security officer on a small cruise ship. One day, during a severe storm, he found Mr. Lewis lying on the deck. When the man came to his senses, he said someone had hit him on the head and had taken his wallet. Logan had 3 suspects. He visited them in their cabins. Linda told him she was feeling queasy because of seasickness. She couldn't even get up from her bed. Denise said she'd been watching a movie on her smartphone. And Philip said he'd been writing a letter to his wife. Logan immediately understood who had hit Mr. Lewis. Do you know? It was Philip. Look at his letter. The handwriting is immaculate. But it's impossible to write so accurately during a storm. Look at these elderly ladies. Both of them have gone out for a walk. At first glance, they seem totally normal. But one of them is actually planning something bad. Can you figure out which granny it is? It's the granny on the right. She's got a file hidden in her knitting basket. Look at this explorer. He seems to be in a tough situation. There are 4 tunnels in front of him. The first one seems to be freezing cold, with some perilous-looking icicles hanging over the entrance. The second tunnel looks outright creepy. A giant shark is in the third tunnel, and the fourth pass is covered with molten lava. Where should our explorer go? He should opt for the first tunnel. Have you noticed a rather well-trodden track there? So this way can't be too dangerous. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's this young woman. A dog is sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her.
So, our guy James here had passed all the first stages of the entrance exam for the Superhero Training Academy. For the final stage, the committee was going to test if he was able to determine who to save first in urgent situations. So they showed him a few images and wanted him to decide who was really in danger. Can you help him out? Here are the first 2. In the second image, the train is not moving and the lights are not on. That means the man can cross without any danger. As for the woman taking a bath and trying to dry her hair, well, it's not wise to use electrical stuff in the bathtub, so James should save her first. Now take a look at this footage of 2 people falling from a cliff. Can you help James detect who is in real danger here? The guy holding the umbrella might appear to be falling faster than the guy holding the plastic bag. However, he's going to fall right into the water, whereas there is a sharp rock right below the plastic bag guy. So, in a situation like this, James should save him first. The last image was going to determine whether James would be accepted or not. Who should be saved first? The lady absorbed in her phone in the second image is safe, because even though the traffic looks busy, the lights show a clear walk signal and cars are stopped. But the man in the first image has left a metal spoon in the microwave that he's about to turn on. That's a big no-no. James finally got accepted into Superhero Training Academy. But there, he was not going to use his real name. He needed to pick a superhero name for himself. Can you guess what his name is? These emojis might help. His superhero name is Thunderbolt Titan. Ooh. It was time to graduate. At the ceremony, the headmaster of the academy wanted to reward Thunderbolt Titan for finishing first in his class. He presented him with a mysterious chest containing a puzzle. Inside awaited a new suit, a cloak, and a high-tech gadget, but only if Thunderbolt Titan could crack the code. Can you help him solve the puzzle and claim his rewards? Look at the number sequence. What comes next? The correct answer is 7238. You just have to move the last number to the front. One day when Thunderbolt Titan was at home, somebody slid a note under his door. But it was encrypted with a strange number sequence. And below the numbers, there was a hint. Think about your device. Can you help decode the mysterious message? To decode this number sequence, we use a mobile phone keypad, as the hint suggests, where each number pair represents a letter. The first digit indicates the keypad number, and the second digit selects the letter's position on that key. For instance, 42 translates to H, because 4 corresponds to the GHI button, and pressing on it 2 times will give you H. Following this method, the fully decoded message is "Help now." A villain from the multiverse had brought all kinds of creatures to planet Earth, and the Protectors League needed Thunderbolt Titan's help to find and capture them before they unleashed chaos. The first monster they were searching for was a zombie, and the Protectors League had 3 suspects. Take a look at them and help Thunderbolt Titan successfully complete his first mission. The first person looks all dirty, but she was probably working in the garden. The second lady's grocery bag is leaking juice, not blood. So the third person must be the zombie, because the living don't wear hospital tags on their ankles. The second creature the Protectors League was searching for was an extraterrestrial being. Take a look at their 2 suspects. Who is the one hiding from the League? Look at Gary M's hospital patient chart. It says his fever is 24.5 degrees Celsius. A human can't have such a low body temperature. He must be the creature. Lastly, the League suspected that a robot was pretending to be a human at a college campus. They spotted 3 students who were acting suspiciously. Can you help Thunderbolt Titan figure out who the robot is? You might think it's obvious that the third student is a robot, but he only has a super realistic-looking robot tattoo on his arm. The first student has a blinking red light inside his shirt's pocket, but that's just a camera. On the other hand, the second student has a USB port on one of her fingers. She must be the robot. To the Protectors League's surprise, there was a 4th monster who had escaped their attention. And at the headquarters, they got an emergency alarm that it was creating mayhem at the amusement park. Thunderbolt Titan immediately rushed there. Upon arrival, he found that the creature's actions had led to a malfunction on the roller coaster ride, causing 3 passengers to be stranded dangerously. Which one should Thunderbolt Titan save first? The second guy will fall first, because he's only holding on with one hand, which is actually pretty difficult to do for an extended period of time. Therefore, Thunderbolt Titan should first save him. Thunderbolt Titan had successfully completed his first 2 missions. However, the villain was not happy that he ruined his evil plans. So he captured him and locked him in a room with no exits. There was only a note that said, "Answer this riddle and you might escape." What can fill a room but takes up no space? The answer is light. Even though Thunderbolt Titan answered the riddle correctly, nothing happened. The villain had tricked him. He had to do something, so he used his superpowers to open 3 portals for himself. However, he didn't have great control over his magical portal power yet. So, all the portals led to tricky places. The first one opened to a jungle full of all kinds of wild animals. The second one opened into the middle of a desert planet, and the third one opened to the edge of a steep, rocky hill. Which one should he choose? Remember the roller coaster mission? Thunderbolt Titan can fly, so he can choose the third portal and fly to safety from the steep hill. One night, Thunderbolt Titan was patrolling the city when he received a distress call. A woman had been attacked by a purse snatcher, and during the struggle, she fell and hit her head. She was now in the hospital room without her bag and her memory. The police officer informed Thunderbolt Titan that there were 3 men outside her door, all claiming to be her husband. Can you help Thunderbolt Titan figure out who is telling the truth? The purse snatcher might have taken her bag, but he didn't take her necklace. Look, she has an L letter pendant. And the first guy here has a neck tattoo that says Liz. He must be her husband. Thunderbolt Titan got an emergency alarm call from the Antarctica Animals Research Center. One of their beloved penguins had been stolen, and they needed his help to find the thief. After using his superhero senses, he narrowed the suspects to 3. Take a look at them. Can you figure out who stole the penguin? The second lady looks like she's hiding something under her skirt, but she's just pregnant. The third guy's backpack looks bulky, but see the flight tag attached to it? That's just his carry-on. But the first guy is hiding raw fish inside his tote bag. That must be to feed the penguin, so he's the thief. During a championship race, one of the cars was suspected of being sabotaged. Thunderbolt Titan was called to the scene to help identify which one with his scanning power. Can you figure it out before him? Take a look at the rear wheel of car 2. It's slightly wobbling, even though the car is stationary. Uh-oh. Harry wakes up inside a simulated reality. An AI voice tells him that he needs to complete a series of tasks in order to get back to his normal life. 3 doors are projected in front of him. The first has a huge hammer that smashes anything that passes by it. The second door leads to a corridor filled with electric pipes. And behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the place. He has 2 seconds to choose one of the doors. Which one should he pick? He should choose the third door. Since he's wearing shoes, he'll be all right. He goes through that door and ends up in a cage. Inside, there are 3 rescue buttons. The red button will open the cage immediately, but it also simultaneously opens a cage with a hungry lion. The blue one will open the cage in 10 minutes, but it will also open hundreds of water pipes. The orange button will open the cage in 5 minutes, but it will also set the place on fire. Which of the buttons should he press? He should press the blue one. I mean, since it's a cage, it won't fill up with water. As soon as his cage opens, he is free to swim away. Then he finds himself at a crossroads. There are 3 different paths, and he needs to figure out which one to take. The first path is filled with smoking coal. The second path has frozen ice all over it. And the third path has pretty sharp nails. Which one should he choose? He should definitely choose the middle path. Even if the ice doesn't melt during daytime, it's pretty easy to go through it. It looks like Harry is doing pretty well, so the AI controlling the game decides to make the task a bit more difficult. It projects a scene where Harry is now in a hotel lobby. He has to figure out which of the lobby guys won't help him with his luggage. It's definitely the guy in the middle. If you look closely, the guy is transparent, which means he's probably a ghost. He can't touch physical stuff, so he won't be able to help Harry. Suddenly, the weekend in this virtual reality, and Harry is taken to a cabin in the mountains. There are 4 friends waiting for his arrival. They have a fun time, but at the end of the weekend, the cabin catches fire. One of his friends did it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It's the third guy to the right. He has a tiny gasoline bottle hanging from his belt. Harry suddenly appears in what looks like a wedding ceremony and discovers he's the one getting married. 2 women appear in front of him. They are dressed the same, but they both have their faces covered with veils. He needs to figure out who his true bride is. Can you help him out here? They look identical, but one of them already has a wedding ring. This can only mean that his true bride is the other lucky gal. For his next challenge, he's taken to a restaurant where a waitress shows him 4 glasses. Each glass is filled with the same liquid, water, and has an object inside of it. The waitress asks Harry which glass has more water than the rest. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out the correct answer? This shouldn't be too hard. The last glass is the one that has more water inside. The paperclip weighs almost nothing, while the other objects are way heavier. This means there is less water in all the other glasses. Harry's doing great thanks to you. Now look at this image. There are 3 people about to parachute out of an airplane. Help Harry figure out who is in graver danger here. It's the first 2 people. You see, there's a heavy bottle in the last guy's backpack. If it falls down, it can break the other's parachutes. Uh-oh. Harry's stomach starts to growl after so much hard work, so he asks for some food. The AI controlling the game decides to create 2 chefs to bake him 2 different cakes. But here's the catch. Only one is safe to eat. Take a look at both of these delicious-looking cakes. Which one is safe? If you have a sharp eye, you'll know that the chef on the left is a fake, so you shouldn't eat his cake. The left chef has stains all over his shirt that look like blood. Plus, he doesn't have a badge on his shirt. He has a scratch over his eye, and he's hiding a syringe in his hand behind his back. There are just too many red flags here. Harry should go for the cake on the right. Well, it's time to take a nap, and Harry is taken to an old house. There are 3 rooms for him to choose from. Take a look at the picture. Which one should he choose? Well, so you see the hidden scenarios behind the curtains in the first room? That's a big no-no. As for the third room, notice how the AC is set to cold even though it's snowing outside. No to that. So he should definitely pick the second room. To sweeten things up a bit, Harry was enrolled into a baking competition. He was introduced to 3 judges, and they each told Harry what their favorite cake was. The first judge expressed his love for chocolate pies. Judge number 2 said he loved berry pies more than anything in the world. And Judge 3 said he was fond of pecan pies, also pronounced pecan. Harry immediately knew one of them was lying. Can you tell who? It was judge number 2. Do you see the chocolate stains and pie crumbles on the second judge's shirt? That could only mean he was enjoying a slice of chocolate pie before arriving at the competition venue. Harry needs to enter a new realm of the game, and for that, he needs to go through what looks like an airport. He didn't have any luggage with him, but he still needed to go through a security check. He went through the scanner, but he beeped every time he passed through it. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out what was making him beep so much? It was the necklace chain dangling from the pocket of his jacket. Good eye if you spotted that. Passing through the different realms, Harry spotted a nice bakery and decided to stop for some more nourishment. There were 3 options to choose from: a cupcake, a chocolate croissant, and a gingerbread cookie. Can you guess which one he picked? You don't need to be a genius to see that Harry is using gingerbread cookie socks. He loves them so much, which is why that's his usual pick. Harry arrived at the gate of the new realm, and there were 2 creatures guarding it, a lion and a unicorn. There was a little sign saying that the lion lied on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and that the unicorn lied on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Harry asked to get inside, and the lion said he needed to answer one of the riddles. He told Harry that he lied yesterday, and the unicorn said he also lied yesterday. Can you help Harry figure out which day of the week was yesterday? Well, let's see how this works. From what the magical creatures said, they were both lying on the same day. So the only possible answer to this riddle is Saturday. If we consider yesterday was Saturday, that means the lion was telling the truth and the unicorn was lying. Finally, Harry completed all of his tasks and was allowed to go back home. Which of the 3 doors should Harry choose to get back home? Well, let's see. He should choose the door in the middle. It has a house emoji on it, which will probably take Harry directly back to the comfort of his home. Hey, let's see how smart you are. Ezra is in love with his new classmate named Amber. He asks her out. She agrees to go on a date with him under one condition. He has to figure out which one of these 7 pencil cases is hers. Can you help him out? Take a look at Amber's outfit. It's pretty obvious that she likes cats. So we can make a short list of cases with cat decorations. Also, Amber likes purple. Therefore, only this pencil case is a perfect match. Ezra and Amber are walking down the street and enjoying each other's company. But there's a criminal among these people. Can you spot who? It's this black hoodie guy inside the police car. Ezra wants to take Amber to his favorite spot in the park, but unfortunately, the main road is closed for repairs. They have to walk through this maze. Can you help them find the correct route? Here's the only way leading to the final destination. Ezra takes a couple of pictures of Amber. Can you find 5 differences between them? Feel free to stop the video if you need more time. Are you ready to see the answers? Here they are. Later that day, Ezra returns home. He wants to watch videos on his tablet. But unfortunately, his little brother pulled a prank and changed his password. Can you help Ezra figure out the new 4-digit code? Ezra's brother left this painting on the wall. It's a hint. All Ezra has to do is count the number of angles on each shape. So the answer is 3406. Ezra is watching his favorite travel blogger, Diego. This guy has a couple of million followers. This time, Diego goes into the uninhabited desert. He wants to find a very rare type of lizard. He reaches his final destination, posts several photos, and goes to sleep. After this post, thousands of people, including Ezra, unsubscribe from Diego. Why? Take a look at the third photo. See this sign? There's a hotel nearby. So Diego lied. He's not in the uninhabited desert. Amber wakes up in the middle of the night because she hears someone crying and moaning. She turns on the nightlight. There's a creepy ghost standing in front of her bed. But soon Amber realizes that the ghost isn't real. How did she know? Look at the floor. This ghost has a shadow, so it can't be real. The next morning, Amber enters the class and sees a bunch of beautiful flowers at her desk. She finds a love note on the bouquet. The flowers are from a secret admirer. Amber wants to know who sent them, so she questions 3 suspects. Ezra says that he's allergic to lilies. Harry says he's in love with another lady. It makes no sense for him to send any gifts to Amber. And Bob says he was the first to arrive at the class today. The flowers were already on Amber's desk. Who's the secret admirer? Take a look at Harry's desk. There's a notebook with the exact same purple paper as the love note. Gotcha. After classes, Ezra and Amber go to the local coffee shop. They take a seat and look around. They see a guy and a lady competing in arm wrestling. Who has more chances to win? Take a look at the lady's neck. It has a USB port. She's a robot. Therefore, she's gonna win. Ezra returns home and finds out that his father, Aaron, is missing. Aaron is a genius scientist and businessman. He's been receiving many threats recently. So Ezra calls the police right away. The officer questions Aaron's 3 major rivals. Alex says he left the business many years ago. He lives a humble life in the village. Chris says his business is much more successful than Aaron's. Why would he kidnap him? And Mike says he hasn't seen Aaron for many years, and they don't have any joint ventures. One of these guys is involved in Aaron's disappearance. Can you guess who? Take a look at the fridge. Aaron left a hint. If we use the letters encoded in this message, we'll get the name Mike. Meanwhile, Aaron wakes up in a creepy dungeon. His kidnappers ask him to create a potion that can shrink people tenfold. Aaron doesn't want to help them. Luckily, he has 2 pills in his pocket. The first one makes you invisible, and the second one makes you 10 times bigger. Aaron doesn't know which pill is which. Can you come up with an escape plan? Aaron is sitting here all alone. He has no one to test the pills on. So it's better to create the shrinking pills for the kidnappers. Then eat one of his own pills. If he grows 10 times, he can just use the new pills to return to his actual size. But if he turns invisible, he can escape with the shrinking pills. Well, Aaron escapes from the kidnappers and runs to the nearest subway. Can you spot a criminal in this location? Hello? Aaron gets on a busy train and goes to the police station. One of these passengers is a wizard. Can you spot who? It's this lady. Her feet don't touch the floor. She's flying. Aaron is walking towards the police station, but suddenly he falls into a pit. He ends up getting trapped in a dungeon. Soon, Aaron finds 3 doors. Behind the first door, there's a mirror labyrinth. It drives every man who dares to spend more than 5 minutes there crazy. There's a hungry wolf behind the second door. He loves feasting on humans. And behind the third door, there's a huge tank with sharks. If Aaron steps in, he'll fall into the tank. What should he do to survive? Aaron should open the third door, then open the second door and let the wolf out. And finally, quickly hide behind the first door and close his eyes. The wolf would start looking for Aaron behind the second door and fall into the tank with sharks. Then Aaron will be free to escape through the second door. Finally, Aaron is home. Ezra prepares him a welcome chocolate cake. He puts it on the table and leaves the kitchen for a moment. Then he returns and finds out that the cake is ruined. Ezra questions the 2 people who are in the house. His brother says that he's been playing video games in the living room. He didn't enter the kitchen. And Aaron says he's been taking a shower. Who ruined the cake? Neither brother nor father. The window in the kitchen is open, and there's a bird covered in chocolate on the tree. It was the bird. Aaron builds a robot that can do all the housework and calls it Meg. One day, Aaron comes home from work and finds out that his robot is missing. He's looking for it everywhere, and finally finds a dungeon. He goes there hoping to find his robot. But instead, he finds 5 robots looking exactly the same as his. He only has 1 try to pick the right robot. Can you help Aaron? Some robots have badges, some do not. But only this one has the name Meg. The next day, Aaron enters his office and finds one of his best employees, Stan, lying on the floor in one of the rooms. Someone had hit him on the head. The police question the workers and find 3 suspects. Maya, the office assistant, says she had a couple of days off and spent them sunbathing on the beach. Rob, the manager, tells the police that his friend had called him to ask for help. That's why he left the office before Stan came to work. Lily, Stan's girlfriend, says they had quarreled earlier that day, but after that, she didn't see him. The police officers understand right away who's lying. What about you? Maya said she spent several days on the beach, but her skin is super pale. Uh-oh, busted. Okay, sharpen your brain, and here we go. Look at these 2 girls who got in trouble in the savannah. Who is in bigger danger? The girl on the right is definitely in bigger trouble. There's a whole zeal of zebras running toward her. As for the girl on the left, she's in less of a trouble. Even though a huge elephant is speeding towards her, she can hide behind this large stone. Detective Liam was invited to investigate a strange case. James, an extravagant yet very selfish man, got robbed the other day. The case seemed hopeless, yet there was a small clue, a cryptic note left at the crime scene. S+1, D+1, C+1. The next day, 3 suspects were delivered to the police station. Their names were Ted, Sam, and Don. Once the detectives saw their names, it became obvious who the robber was. Can you guess who it was? It's Ted. All you need to do to decipher this code is to use the alphabet. At an elite party, waiters were serving drinks and snacks to all the guests. 2 aspiring actresses, Jill and Jane, had cocktails too. The next day, Jane showed up in an audition while Jill was in a hospital with doctors fighting for her life. Why? If you were attentive enough, you noticed that even though both girls had the same drinks, Jane didn't have any ice in hers, so the poison must have been in the ice. One day, Andrew and Alex decided to jump with a parachute for fun. However, for one of them, this might be their last day on Earth. Who's in danger? It's Alex. Look, he's got no parachute. It's just a backpack. However, if the guys notice it, Alex can still be saved. He needs to hold on to Andrew tightly to land safely. A group of friends, Louis, Jessica, and Albert, went hiking. Dusk was falling rapidly, and they decided to start a fire and have their late-night dinner. But once the flames lit the dark, it became obvious that one of them was a monster. Did you spot the intruder? It's surely Jessica. No human being can have those cat eyes. 3 friends, Max, Mark, and Mick, went to a fancy new restaurant to try out some cool dishes a mysterious chef had cooked. Everyone loved the food, but oops, the next day, Max and Mark passed away in a hospital. The doctor said the 2 guys had severe food poisoning, and there was nothing they could do to save them. Now, look at the footage from the restaurant. Why did Mick survive? Apparently, poisoned tomatoes took the lives of the 2 friends. Look, Mick doesn't have this ingredient in his food. Now imagine waking up in a weird cage and seeing 3 doors in front of you. There's nothing horrendous waiting for you behind those doors, but the handles don't really inspire you. The thing is, the handle of the first door is covered with some nasty, probably toxic or radioactive ooze. The second handle is literally on fire. The third one has some super high voltage running through it. Which one should you choose? Hey, look, there are rubber gloves in the corner and you're wearing rubber boots. This might not help against ooze and fire, but it can definitely save you from high voltage. Pick the third door. Let's put your math skills to the test. Don't worry, it's easy peasy. When all birds landed 1 on each tree, 1 bird was left without a tree to sit on. But when 2 birds landed on 1 tree, there was 1 tree left vacant. How many trees were there? There were 4 birds and 3 trees. Now, my dear detective, we're going to test not your sharp eyes, but your logic. So, the poor have it, the rich need it, and if you eat it, you're gonna surely pass away. What's that? It's nothing. The poor have nothing, the rich need nothing, and if you eat nothing, there's no chance you're going to survive for long. Jane and John Doe were an ordinary young couple. One day, they decided to go out of town and spend some time in nature, so they jumped into a car. While they were driving, they suddenly saw 4 people hitchhiking at a gas station, but most of them looked pretty suspicious. There was a man in tattered clothes, a woman wearing a cape, a man with a sullen face, and a teenage girl. Who should they give a ride to? Look, the woman in the cape doesn't cast a shadow. She must be a vampire. The man with the sullen face has a vampire bite on his neck, so he's now a vampire too. The teenage girl has suspicious claws, so she must be a werewolf. Thus, the man in tattered clothes is the only one who doesn't seem to be dangerous. 3 friends fell asleep under a tree in the countryside. While they were resting, a guy passing by painted mustaches on their faces. Once the men woke up, they started to laugh, but then, all of a sudden, they stopped. Why? At first, they saw the mustaches on their friends' faces and found it funny. But then, they realized their friends were laughing too. It meant that they had mustaches on their faces as well. On a rainy evening, Mary came home and found that someone had eaten her chocolate bar. Well, she asked her siblings who had done that. Jane said she had been working out in her room and she didn't even eat sweets. Ingrid said that she would never eat somebody else's chocolate. Jessica said that she had been outside watering plants in the garden. She'd just come home herself. Who lied? I'd say it was Jessica. It was raining outside, so she didn't really need to water the plants. One day, Detective Brightbrain was called to the airport, where an angry passenger demanded immediate compensation for stolen luggage. The angry passenger said that he had bought a plane ticket to the city of Chicago. He checked his 15-pound bag, but when he got it back, it was light as a feather. He claimed that there had been valuable things in the bag: a laptop, a ring, and a watch. He opened it right at the counter, and it was empty. While the man was waving his arms and shouting at the counter, a bag fell out of his pocket. The detective picked it up and immediately realized that the passenger was a liar. How did he guess? Well, let's just say the bag wasn't exactly filled with gold coins or anything. It was a bag of dry ice. The scandalous passenger had no valuables. He had just put several blocks of dry ice in the suitcase and deliberately left the zipper slightly open. During the long flight, the contents simply evaporated, leaving no traces. The swindler only needed to pretend to be indignant and demand compensation. You find yourself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. You can't jump out the window because it's too high above the ground. The only tree growing near the window doesn't look sturdy enough for you to use it to climb down. However, there are 3 doors, and one of them can lead you to freedom. But behind the first door, a fierce fire is raging. The second door holds back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there's a pitch-dark maze, and you can only imagine what surprises are waiting for you there. Which door should you choose? The third. You'll just need to break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and go through the maze. It won't be dark anymore. 2 houses are on fire. One of them belongs to Jack, who is poor. Another one is a luxurious mansion that belongs to James. Which fire will the police extinguish first? Well, the police don't extinguish the fire. The firefighters do. Somebody call them, please. That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.